There are moments in life, quiet moments, when you look at yourself and whisper, "God, why me? Why would you choose someone like me?" And if you've ever felt that, if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever believed you're too weak, too small, too broken, this message is for you. Because God has a history of choosing people who don't feel strong. People like Gideon. Gideon wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't confident. He was hiding, threshing wheat in a place meant for grapes, trying to survive, trying to stay unseen. He felt like the least. He felt like he didn't matter. He felt like nothing. But God looked at him and called him something Gideon didn't believe: mighty warrior. Why would God call a frightened man a mighty warrior? Because God doesn't speak to who you are right now. He speaks to who you're becoming. God saw strength inside Gideon long before Gideon saw it himself. And maybe that's you. Maybe you only see your weakness, your past, your failures, your mistakes, your insecurities, your fears. But God sees something different. He sees the warrior in you. He sees the potential you don't notice. He sees the future you can't imagine. That's why God chooses the weak, not because they are strong, but because they know they are not. When God found Gideon, Gideon said, "Lord, how can I save Israel? My family is the weakest, and I am the least." Do you hear that? The weakest family, the least in that family. Gideon was the last person anyone would choose. Even Gideon wouldn't have chosen himself. And maybe that's how you feel. Maybe you think, "God, there are better people, stronger people, smarter people, holier people." But listen, God didn't pick Gideon because he was strong. God picked him because he was available. Because the weaker the vessel, the greater the glory. God intentionally reduced Gideon's army from 32,000 to 300. Why? So everyone would know that the victory belonged to God alone. Sometimes God will reduce your resources, reduce your options, reduce your strength, reduce your support, not to punish you, but to show you that the power was never yours. It was His. Maybe that's happening in your life right now. Maybe things feel smaller. Maybe support disappeared. Maybe you feel more alone, more uncertain, more weak. But what if? What if God is setting up a Gideon moment for you? A moment where your weakness becomes the stage for God's power to be revealed. Hear me. God chooses the weak because weak people lean on Him. Weak people listen. Weak people follow. Weak people pray harder. Weak people depend on His strength. And God loves to show the world what He can do through someone who feels like nothing. Maybe you've been telling yourself, "I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm too broken, too insecure, too small." But God is saying to you right now, "You are exactly who I want, because my strength is made perfect in your weakness." Gideon thought he was the least, but God made him a leader. Gideon thought he was weak, but God made him victorious. Gideon thought he was nothing, but God used him to change a nation. And the same God, the same voice, the same power, is still choosing people like that today. People like you. Maybe you don't see your worth. Maybe life made you hide. Maybe you've been living in fear. Maybe you feel unseen, overlooked, forgotten. But God sees you. God notices you. God whispers to your heart, "Rise, mighty warrior." Not because you feel strong, but because He is with you. Your weakness is not a reason God can't use you. Your weakness is the very reason He can. So when you look in the mirror and you see someone who isn't enough, remember Gideon. Remember what God can do with someone who feels small. God can take the least and make them a leader. He can take the afraid and make them courageous. He can take the weak and make them a warrior. He can take you and do something you never believed was possible. Because God doesn't choose the strong. God makes the chosen strong.